states should not be turning over their resources to FEMA or HUD or the Department of Education or HHS and then saying, please, please, federal government, give us money to build houses or schools or disaster relief or whatever it is. This was never envisioned in the Constitution. These resources should not be taken from the states. The states should decide what agencies, what plans, and what resources go where. That's how the 10th Amendment to the Constitution works. Florida most likely does not need an avalanche plan. Conversely, Colorado probably doesn't need a hurricane plan. So we don't need to wait for the federal authority to decide who gets what and when. A state could better respond to its own emergencies and its own disasters with its own resources and its own people on the ground immediately instead of waiting for the federal government to come in. This is not a thing about Republicans or Democrats. I mean, George W. Bush was president when Katrina hit. How damn long did it take to get federal resources into New Orleans? But also, there is a point here. The Democrats are the party of big government. They are the party of the federal government. They control all of the bureaucracies. Even when there's a Republican administration, Democrats lock shields and block those policies. This is why they want to federalize everything. Education, housing, transportation. They want every jurisdiction and zip code to be an outpost of the federal government. And you know, there's a little bit more to this. When you look at what they're doing with transportation right now, think about this. They want to get rid of single-family standalone housing with this program affirmatively furthering fair housing. And something like a hurricane would be a perfect time to impose this on a state like Florida that has a construction boom going on. Now, what do, right? If you're a blue state and you're losing population to, let's say, Texas or Florida or Tennessee, well, back in the 90s, they fought urban sprawl tooth and nail. But then they figured out, hey, that's not working right now. People have the ability to move from point A to point B. So you know what we should do is that if they're trying to get away from Democrat-run cities and Democrat-run states, why don't we just bring all the problems created by Democrats to where they're going? And that's where they came up with affirmatively furthering fair housing and the Green New Deal. So now what they've got to do is make it harder for people to get away from them. That's where green energy comes in. Do you how much of a pain in the butt is it to move? I mean, really, if you've got a family. I'm not talking about, if you're a young person and you buy your friends pizza and beer to move a couch up the stairs into an apartment. I'm talking about moving a whole family, 5 people. Huge pain in the butt, right? Well, do you think those giant moving trucks that move an entire house could run on green energy, on a battery? Not likely. And that's part of the plan, to make everyone reliant on government transportation, or really inefficient transportation, to slow the bleeding from the blue states to the red states. And if they start to turn some of the suburbs into little bluetopias, people are going to want to pick up and move again. So they got to prevent it. It's about keeping people from moving away from them. And there's another thing. When the federal government controls resources and uses them as a political weapon, as we see Biden doing right now, what the Democrats are going to try to do is use FEMA and rebuilding money to buy votes in Florida. Florida is the key state to win. Marco Rubio is still beating Val Demings. Ron DeSantis is a runaway success. Donald Trump took Florida from Hillary and won the election. A hurricane and spending from Biden to the mayors to the people, it's a pretty good way to do it.